Greetings, MP5 enthusiasts. I wanted to talk about the Timney Triggers MP5 trigger that I just bought. And you probably guessed from the title, I had a few problems with it. When I took it out of the box, I wanted to give it a quick test. Just hold it in my hand and pull the trigger, push it back, make sure everything reset. But guess what? It didn't. You would think for a $300+ trigger, it'd be perfect right out of the box. But in this case, it wasn't. It was simple to fix, but for this kind of money, you shouldn't have to do anything. Now, first, let me say, 1, I bought this trigger with my own money. 2, I'm not a gunsmith, and this should be in no way a tutorial, a guide. It should not be advice, nothing. This is just what I found on my trigger and what I did to fix it. So anyway, had a couple problems. 1, the trigger pull was very, very hard. And 2, it wouldn't reset unless I pushed the trigger forward with my finger. So I called Timney, got their answering machine. Instead of I waited a day or so and never heard back from anybody. Instead of pursuing it, I decided to just look at it, see if I could find out what was wrong, and being the kind of person that I am, I just went ahead and took it apart. And there was a couple things that I found wrong that they really should have picked up in their QC QA department. This pin, where it goes through the trigger, the hole in the trigger was so small that the pin was so tight that the trigger would barely move on the pin. So after taking it apart, all I did was run some 600 grit sandpaper through there just to clean it out a little bit. I think the maybe the coating they used on the trigger filled in the hole a little bit and made it tight on the pin. A little bit of 600 sandpaper through the hole in the trigger, cleaned it right out, and it was fine floating on the pin. That was problem number 1. Problem number 2, the trigger didn't reset. And what I found when I took it apart, looked at it, and let's see if you can see it here. That's too much light. See the spring that's in there, how the hammer spring comes back towards the back of the trigger pack? Well, when I got this, that trigger spring was underneath of the pins. And you can tell by the design of the spring itself, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to ride on that pin, and that's where it gets the pressure to reset. Let me see if I can point that out. So right there, that spring sits on top of that pin, and that's where the trigger gets the pressure to reset. So I reassembled it, re-Loctited everything, red in the back, blue Loctite up front, put it back together, and then tried it out. Now, you can see it's got a little bit of take up. You hit the wall, pull the trigger, push it back, let off the trigger, and now it resets. Dropped it in the gun, everything fits fine, everything seems to work fine with snap caps, and I'll take it to the range, make a short video, let you know how it goes. But Timney, I mean, this looks like a nice design, it looks pretty rugged, it looks pretty heavy duty, but you know, get your QA department together, or QC department, whatever you guys call them, because just a couple little, if you just pay a little bit of attention on this thing, this would be a good trigger. See you next time.